coming up on the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week.
What will proposed immigration legislation mean for Chapel Hill? I'm Chris Walker, and I'll have your answer.
And I'm Shaheen Sayal. Water from the old well might not be as good for you as you think. I'll tell you why coming up.
In sports, how are lacrosse players at UNC reacting to the controversy at Duke? Find out coming up.
Will this beautiful weather last? Weathercaster Miles Henderson will have a look at your 4-day forecast.
All that and more.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the April 5th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Shelley Basinger.
And I'm Crystal Calloway. The argument about strict immigration laws hasn't reached Chapel Hill yet.
But the debate still rages on across the country. Reporter Chris Walker joins us live from the newsroom to tell us more. Chris?
Shelley and Crystal, immigration reform is a hot topic on Capitol Hill and across the nation this week. With the fastest growing Hispanic population in the country, North Carolina has an important voice in that debate.
The Carolina Hispanic Association presented its views on immigration Monday at a forum hosted by the Young Democrats. Freshman Pedro Carreño spoke about his personal experience with the issue. He'll finally become an American citizen this month after coming to America as a 3-year-old with his parents.
A lot of people say it's like the land of opportunity, but this opportunity isn't being given to these people.
There are currently 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S., most without access to health care or higher education. Carborough's El Centro Latino assists local immigrants, documented or not, in finding jobs and childcare. Director Ben Baldera says most of Orange County's immigrants are Hispanic and work where other people won't.
What we find is a lot of the male Latino population go into construction or service-related in the hotel, restaurant industries.
A recent study at UNC's Kenan Institute found that North Carolina's Hispanic population works mostly in jobs without higher education requirements. This graph shows that more than 40% of Hispanics work in construction and around 10% each in manufacturing, retail, and agriculture. Only 4% have jobs in healthcare and education. Law professor Hiroshi Motomura says these work opportunities started North Carolina's immigration flow, and stopping that now isn't simple.
These industries have been using immigrant labor, some legal, some illegal, for a long enough time now that people tell their cousins and brothers and sisters and friends, and so you got a lot of migration based on word of mouth.
That migration is being challenged in a House bill proposing to build a wall on the Mexican border and to charge undocumented workers as felons. As immigration is a matter of federal law, the state's immigration stance will follow whatever action Congress takes.
The Kenan Institute study found that North Carolina's Hispanic population contributed about $9 billion to the state economy in 2004, but without Hispanic workers, our construction industry would have lost $10 billion. Crystal?
Chris Walker, live in the newsroom. Thanks, Chris.
The Chapel Hill policy requiring 15% of new homes be made available to low-income residents might cause a housing gap. So far, the only plan set for affordable housing are apartment complexes. One proposed complex, Shortbread Lofts, will keep some units affordable by keeping square footage low. The Chapel Hill Town Council is considering deed restrictions as a way to keep costs down. Because housing is so expensive in Chapel Hill, many public workers live in Orange County and must travel a long distance to work. A sidewalk will soon take the place of these cones, and the people putting it in will probably never get to use it. 90% of Public Works employees don't live in Chapel Hill. These employees take care of street, sidewalk, and park maintenance, preserve public buildings and landscape, and collect solid waste. Director of Public Works Bill Lettieri says affordability for his employees is an issue.
Disadvantage for us because it makes it hard for us to find a reasonable market for those employees that we need to hire.
Public Works employees are also first responders in case of emergencies. Lettieri says it's sometimes a challenge to get people to work in a timely fashion.
Riders might not notice the change, but Chapel Hill Transit has a new leader. The new director is still unpacking his office as he prepares to manage 170 employees and dozens of bus routes. Steve Spade worked with the Des Moines Transit for more than 30 years and hopes his experience with Iowa State University will help him in Chapel Hill. Spade hopes the university will plan future construction projects with bus service in mind. He's impressed with the town's commitment to public transportation.
The commitment to preserve this community and not have it overrun with, highways and freeways really does give Chapel Hill Transit a challenge that we have to meet.
Spade also plans to improve the Transportation Department's website.
Low-income students have a new opportunity to transfer to UNC. The Carolina Student Transfer Excellence Program, or CSTEP, makes it easier for students to transfer to UNC from a participating community college. Director of Undergraduate Admissions, Steve Farmer, says these new students will be a great asset to the university.
We think the university will enroll talented students who wouldn't have otherwise come to Carolina, and that's our main reason for doing it. We think the program's good for Carolina because it'll bring great students to Carolina.
In order to be eligible to participate, students must be enrolled at one of these 3 participating community colleges. They must also be from a low to moderate income family and earn their associate's degree. Students might also be required to have a 3.0 GPA and fulfill UNC's foreign language requirement.
It's official, James Allred is the new student body president. The sign says Seth Dearman, but inside, student body president James Allred now runs the show.
James Allred at the Student Government Office.
Tuesday was Allred's first day as the official occupant of the space, which he's shared with outgoing SBP Seth Dearman since his election win. Allred says he's excited about his new digs.
I know I've been up some late nights working on transition stuff, just writing a few speeches and letters and making phone calls, making those last-minute decisions on cabinet. So it's helpful to have a nice space to work.
Allred says he looks forward to spending plenty of quality time in his new home away from home. Allred isn't the only person moving into a new office. Outgoing and newly elected members of student government filled the Great Hall to take part in the student government inauguration ceremony Tuesday. Chief Justice of the Student Supreme Court, Fred McPhail, swore in new members as proud parents and peers looked on. New and returning members reflected on their term or shared their vision for the future.
So members of Student Congress and other elected officials have started their terms, but one of them almost missed the boat. Student body president Seth Dearman nominated Mark Einert to become the new Honor Court chairman this year. But things hit a snag last week when his nomination failed in Congress. Einert says Congress didn't have a problem with him, but rather the Honor Court process itself.
In fact, several times throughout the process, the questions weren't about my qualifications, and they were about how the folks that I worked under this year ran the process. And it really wasn't a personal thing for me.
Congress approved Einert's nomination in an emergency meeting Monday night after he pledged to make changes in the nomination process next year. In some counties in North Carolina, city water might be safer than well water. Shaheen Sayal joins us from the Old Well to tell us more. Shaheen?
Shelley, people who get their water from an underground well think it's clean, but that might not be the case. Maureen McClure lives in an area of Wake County that's serviced by a community well. Just a few days ago, she received a notice saying her drinking water contained higher than normal levels of uranium and radium, which over time could lead to an increased risk of cancer.
To me, when the water looks discolored is when I get the most upset, but I'm beginning to think that it's when it's not discolored that it might be more of a problem.
According to the North Carolina Director of Environmental Health, Terry Pierce, Wake County has one of the most comprehensive well testing and inspection programs in the state. Yet surprisingly, only 35 counties in North Carolina have programs like this in place. Last year, legislation requiring mandatory statewide testing of water wells failed to pass in the General Assembly. Another proposal that calls for more than just testing is in the works. Pierce is hopeful this revised piece of legislation will go through.
The local health department would issue a permit for a well, and then they would conduct the inspections during the construction phase.
But Pierce says because well water comes from the ground, there are some areas that are more prone to certain naturally occurring contaminants like uranium and radium. And though the state can't make everybody's drinking water completely pure, this legislation will ensure homeowners at least know what's in their water. McClure, who's lived in her house for more than 20 years, still worries about long-term health effects for her family.
On the one hand, they're giving you all the foods that you should try to eat, the diet you should try to follow. You should exercise to avoid having these things happen to you. And then the water you're drinking may be giving it to you anyway, and you have no way of knowing that.
Orange County is one of the 35 counties that already has well permitting and testing in place. Shelley?
Shaheen Sayal at the Old Well. Thanks, Shaheen.
Post-traumatic stress can be a painful experience for soldiers returning from war.
But there are people who want to help. Coming up, we'll tell you about one man who's helping his fellow soldiers.
We had to just sleep on cots and such. Here's a really picture of one of the big palaces in Baghdad.
This is Mommy's bed. Me and Jenny were jumping on it. Mommy's gun fell on the floor. I was a cowboy. Bang, 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 bang. I said, Jenny, wake up, it's just pretend. But she wouldn't wake up.
I used to party a lot. I'd black out and not remember anything. My friends would tell me that I needed help. I didn't listen. I was in control. Then something happened. I realized if I didn't stop, I would die. I knew I had to get help. I called the Alcohol Drug Council of North Carolina. They connected me with people who helped me live my life without alcohol and drugs. If your story sounds like mine, then make the call.
A recent Defense Department study shows 1 out of every 8 soldiers returning from Iraq has symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, and less than half seek help.
Reporter Armand Tolentino is here to tell us about the latest efforts to help veterans cope.
Mental health experts at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Durham are working with community-based vet centers across the state to reach out to returning soldiers.
We were right beside an Apache unit.
23-year-old Jason Lindsay is a veteran of the war in Iraq, where he spent 5 months avoiding snipers, explosives, and enemy fire. He returned home in August 2003 and began worrying about different things, like work, school, and family.
All of those things didn't seem to be very stressful before I went on my deployment. When I got home, it seemed like everything just was very stressful.
Last summer, Lindsay began work at the Raleigh Vet Center, where he talks with fellow veterans about everything from readjustment to post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's a very difficult situation. It's horrific. Some of the death and destruction is stuff that you'll never forget.
Duke psychiatrist Dr. Harold Cutler works at the VA Mental Health Center in Durham, where he treats veterans from throughout the Southeast.
When they do have problems that would qualify as official diagnoses, we want to be able to help them identify the warning signs and get help early before those problems take hold and really have a destructive effect on them or their families.
To identify post-traumatic stress disorder, mental health workers look for 3 main features. First, traumatic thoughts that won't go away. Second, avoidance that can lead to distancing from others. And third, hyperarousal that shows up as irritability, panic, and explosive outbursts. Cutler says the biggest challenge is getting veterans to seek help.
The minute you say, I might be having a problem here, already the impulse is, but I shouldn't talk about it.
And that's where the vet centers come in.
The people that I speak to automatically have that connection to me, say, oh, well, this is a reputable source. He's credible because he's been there and I can trust him.
Many soldiers feared seeking treatment would make them appear weak or cause their peers to treat them differently. Lindsay said he hopes his work will help get rid of that stigma. Crystal?
I hope so. Armand Tolentino reporting from the studio. Thanks, Armand.
There's a small tent city standing in Polk Place, built by the student group Sudan. Students united for Darfur Awareness Now. The tents, cardboard boxes, wire fences, and tree limbs represent the living conditions of refugees in the war-torn region, where hundreds of thousands have died or been displaced from their villages. The group is trying to spark student action to seek help for the refugees. Event planner Ashley Cratch thinks the problem is huge, but even small events like this one can make a difference.
I think everyone has a voice. Everyone can utilize that voice and do their part, and I think together as a community, as a school, and furthermore as a nation, we can make an immense difference in Darfur.
The 2-day event includes a movie in the pit Wednesday night, a pizza dinner Thursday night. There's also a rally at the end of the month in Washington.
Keeping your teeth clean might also keep your heart healthy. Doctors now say there might be a strong link between gum disease and heart disease. Studies suggest that the bacteria that cause gum disease could increase the rate heart arteries become blocked. When left untreated, the bacteria can enter the bloodstream and leave artery walls inflamed. Dr. Jim Beck says it's important to floss in order to remove organisms that cause infection under the gum surface.
They're very good at avoiding clearance by a body's natural mechanisms, and basically the only really way to get them out of there is by mechanically going in and scraping them away and getting rid of them.
Doctors say brushing, flossing, and visiting the dentist are the best ways to maintain your oral health.
If you're a senior about to graduate, listen up. Friday, April 7th is the last time this semester you can take the swim test, which you need to graduate. You don't need an appointment, just make sure you bring your one card. The test will be held from 9 to 4 at the Bowman Gray Swimming Pool, which is located between Woolen and Fetzer gyms.
Weathercaster Miles Henderson is here with us now.
Yeah, Miles, we all saw some, yucky weather at the beginning of this week, but it just really turned out to be a gorgeous rest of the week.
Yeah, we had those storms move through on Monday, but they're cleared out now. Looks like this week's April showers are bringing April flowers. We'll be able to get out this weekend and enjoy and even smell the sassafras. I'll let you know coming up on your 4-day forecast.
Let your knowledge grow at the North Carolina Botanical Garden. Through public service, research, conservation, and education. The garden brings North Carolina's rich natural heritage to you. It's a beautiful way to learn.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weathercaster Miles Henderson. Well, spring has sprung throughout the Triangle, and we're seeing warmer temperatures today and throughout the rest of the week. But don't make your weekend plans just yet, as some stormy weather may be headed our way. But after that rain clears out, we're in for a little cooling trend. Should be a great start to next week. Let's start out with a look at that U.S. satellite map. We have basically clear skies throughout the central U.S. and down to the southeast. You can see the remnants here of that cold front system that moved through on Monday. That's pushing well out to sea. But the big story is this system out to our west. That's going to continue to move our way and be the big weather maker for this weekend. Let's zoom in a little bit on the southeast. Basically, very few clouds throughout North Carolina and well down to the south. We have a few stray clouds there in South Carolina. Shouldn't affect us. Should be a great day today. Get out and enjoy the weather while we have it. Let's take a look at that surface map. We have a high pressure system dominating the southeast. That's what's keeping these temperatures slightly above average and very comfortable outside. You can see some trailing precipitation from that system that's moving well off the sea and not really affecting the North Carolina region. But off to the west, this low pressure system with this trailing cold front is what's going to be the big weather maker for this weekend. It's just now starting to produce some rain in the mountains regions out to the west, but as it moves this way, it's going to join with some moisture coming in from the Texas Gulf. And as it does so, it's going to spur some strong to severe storms in the Mississippi Valley region. It's going to continue to move our way on Thursday and into Friday, bringing us a good chance for rain over the weekend. Let's take a look at the Carolina Week 4-day forecast. For Friday, expect conditions, temperatures to top out near 80 degrees. It's going to be very warm outside. It's going to be a good day to get out and enjoy these partly cloudy skies. On Saturday, the best chance for some showers and storms. Some of these storms could be severe. High temperature around 74 degrees with a low of 47, a little bit chilly overnight. As that cold front moves through, we have some lingering clouds on Sunday, but basically partly cloudy skies throughout the day, high of 63 degrees. On Monday, mostly sunny skies throughout the area, high of 67 as we begin to warm back up just a little bit for your work week next week. If you're planning on headed to the beach this weekend, It's going to be a little bit of a washout. Thunderstorms on Saturday with some lingering showers on Sunday. Temperatures will be comfortable though, 73 on Saturday with 60 on Sunday. If you're going the opposite direction to the mountains, it's going to be a washout on Saturday with the showers throughout the area, high of around 65. But Sunday, partly cloudy skies. It's going to be nice with a high of 62, but a low of 36 is going to be very chilly overnight. We've all seen this yellow powder all across the region. If you take a look at the pollen forecast, it's basically tree pollen. It's going to be in our area Wednesday and into Thursday. So if you have allergies, just do the best you can for at least the next couple days until we get the rain this weekend.
I know, my car's been covered with that yellow dust when I get in every single day. So thank you.
Thanks.
Sportscaster Michael Crow is here with us.
And Mike, there's been a lot of great basketball on TV lately, but it's unfortunate that it's not of us.
Was there good basketball on? I haven't been watching any of it, but if Carolina's not playing, I'm not going to tune in. I'll just be honest with that. But coming up in sports, controversy surrounds the Duke lacrosse team, but could it happen at UNC? After the break, we'll tell you why these guys say the answer is an emphatic no.
Awaken your creativity. Do your thing at the Art School at the Art Center in Carborough.
I give you a 20. I'm sure of it. You're stupid.
Children are influenced by what they see adults do. Remember, a child may be watching you.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Michael Crow. March Madness has come and gone with no national titles, but you know what? Duke didn't win anything either. The Duke men's lacrosse team was once a national title contender. Now the team has been suspended from play by the university president following accusations of a rape at a March 13th party. The effects of the controversy can be felt at UNC and across the college sports world. Reporter Jessica Pruitt has more.
Here on the UNC campus, I talked to a few of the men's lacrosse players to see how they feel about the allegations at Duke. They all agreed that the alleged incident was unfortunate, but they weren't worried about how it would affect their own team's credibility. Senior captain Stephen McElduff is confident about his team's conduct at all times.
We're a completely different team. Not to say anything about them. We follow the UNC honor code and the athletic department standards, so it would never happen here and hopefully never will.
His twin brother and midfielder Andrew hopes fans, the campus, and the community can look past the allegations on one campus and not associate them with the Carolina team.
We hold ourselves to a pretty high standard here as a part of the athletic department, so hopefully, they can distinguish between here and other schools.
The guys said they understand their personal responsibility as Division I athletes, and Andrew hopes the alleged incident at Duke doesn't portray the sport in a negative light.
It's a sport being in the public eye, you're being athletes and you're going to be under examination, so hopefully in the long run it won't be a black mark on the sport because it's a single incident.
The UNC team will continue regular season play despite the controversy going on 8 miles north of here. They'll be here at Fetzer to take on ACC rival Virginia on Saturday. In Chapel Hill, I'm Jessica Pruitt, Carolina Week.
At 2-8, the lacrosse team is looking to turn around its season heading into the ACC tournament. Well, the baseball team stepped up to the plate against Elon on Tuesday. The Heels came out in full swing, scoring 4 runs in the second inning. Third baseman Reed Frank hammered this solo homer in the fourth to keep the Phoenix at bay. While some Carolina fans fell down on the job, the Heels kept up their A-game and ran away with a 9-1 victory. Carolina's athletic program receives national attention on a regular basis, but there's more that goes into it than meets the eye. Reporter L'Oreal Andrews has the story of the people who make it all work.
UNC. That's all you need to hear to imagine Carolina's sports legacy of success and integrity. The Sports Information Office spreads that tradition. Head Sports Information Director, or SID, Steve Kirshner, realizes the high expectations for Carolina athletics.
And not only do they want us to be successful competitively, but they also want us to do it the right way, with class, with integrity, play within the rules. So there are a lot of eyes on our program.
That attention is one reason why TarHeelBlue.com had more hits last year than any other college sports website. The Office of Athletic Communication also maintains thousands of records in Carolina sports history, including this picture of the 1982 championship team that had Michael Jordan on it. Most of the office's work is usually unnoticed, but SID Bobby Hunley explains why it's still worth it.
I think a lot of us in here wouldn't even do this if it wasn't in Carolina, just because we've got a passion for Carolina that, you don't really have to work at. It's there no matter what.
Just as teams bond like family, Dan Finley feels a similar connection in the office.
Carolina student and from Colorado, came out here because of my love for sports. It's nice to find and work with people that have a similar love for the university and the athletic programs here. So the people have been great. I love them all. So I would have to say that that's my favorite part about my job.
In Chapel Hill, L'Oreal Andrews, Carolina Week.
Sports Information has 7 full-time employees to work Carolina's 26 Division I athletic teams, and one of those teams is the football team. Believe it or not, they're getting back underway. The annual spring game is this Saturday at noon at Kenan Stadium.
I can't wait. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be fun to see them back out there.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. Physically challenged doesn't mean physically incapable.
Coming up, members of this soccer team cruise against all of their opponents.
Escucha Smokey antes de tratar.
Solo tú.
No juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego. No hay nada perdurable como asustar a un pobre ratón sin casa en que vivir. Si un hermoso bosque es lo que deseas, no juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego.
Solo tú puedes prevenir los fuegos en áreas naturales.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
If you're a competitive person, then soccer would be a great sport for you.
Hannah Gordola went to Durham to show us how competitive, though challenged athletes have revamped this old game.
Great sport.
She isn't talking about basketball, she's talking about soccer. Power soccer. You may not know many people who know about this unique sport or about Durham's own Carolina Cruisers. You play power soccer like regular indoor soccer, but using motorized wheelchairs and balls that are much bigger. And the players, they're of all ages and disabilities.
I consider myself a pretty good soccer player, but the competitiveness and aggressiveness of these power players got me chasing after them.
UNC junior Ryan Draper loves to watch sports from his wheelchair, but now he has the opportunity to play a sport. He's excited, but his family's a little worried.
And I'm always like on eggshells, I'm just really worried that something's going to go wrong, but it's worth it to see those, their smiles. They just love it.
This isn't a game for the weak.
I had an incident. I just hit someone so hard and my head went forward and banged up against the back of it.
In other words, he got whiplashed. For these players, sports injuries are okay because they're finally playing sports. But Stacy Marks says there's a bigger picture here. Her mother, Susan, translates.
We could be good role models for younger people that are born with disabilities or people who have car accidents, who are injured and become paralyzed, and show them that they can do anything that they want to do.
And that includes competing in a very active sport. In Durham, I'm Hannah Gordola, Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching Carolina Week.
Good night.